The rain fell like silver needles over the Black Ridge territory, turning the forest into a breathing, whispering thing. At the center of it all stood the obsidian fortress of the Nightfall Pack, towering, cold, merciless, just like its alpha. Kale Draven, he ruled with silence and iron will. Broad shoulders carved like stone, eyes the color of burning amber, jaw forever set in cold disdain. The pack feared him, rival alphas avoided him, and every unmated woman within 5 territories knew one thing: Kale Draven hated women. Not in the loud, shouting way, no, his hatred was quiet, controlled, calculated. Years ago, his mother, the former Luna, betrayed the pack for a rival alpha. The scandal shattered his father, destroyed alliances, and nearly cost them their land. Kale had been 19. Old enough to understand humiliation, old enough to feel the sting of whispers. Since then, he trusted no woman. Desired none, claimed none. He rejected every she-wolf presented at formal gatherings. Every daughter of powerful packs hoping to secure an alliance. Every bold female who dared look at him with longing. To Kale, women were weakness, and weakness was death. The great mating ceremony was approaching. Once every decade, unmated wolves gathered under the blood moon to seek their destined bond. It was tradition older than war itself. Even alphas attended, though Kale had never participated beyond obligation. Your presence is required, Bader Rowan reminded him that evening inside the council chamber. Kale leaned back in his carved throne, fingers tapping against the wolfem, blazoned armrest. I will attend, he said flatly, but I will not choose. Rowan sighed. The pack needs a Luna. The pack needs strength, and strength can come from a mate. Kale's amber eyes flashed. I don't need a woman to rule. The conversation ended there. It always did. Across the territory border, in the shadow of the whispering pines, a lone Omega walked with her head bowed. Illyra Vale, small, slender, quiet. Her scent was soft, wild jasmine after rain, but suppressed beneath years of rejection. Born into a minor pack that collapsed after rogue attacks, she had been taken in by nightfall out of obligation, not kindness. Omegas were the lowest rank. They served, they obeyed, they survived. Illyra had grown used to invisibility, used to lowered gazes, used to cruel whispers, used to being overlooked, but tonight was different. Tonight, she would attend the great mating ceremony, not because she expected to find her mate, but because her new pack demanded participation. Maybe someone will finally claim you. A she-wolf sneered earlier that day. Illyra only smiled faintly. She had long ago stopped hoping. The blood moon rose enormous and crimson over the ceremonial clearing. Torches circled the stone altar. Wolves gathered in formal attire, their power humming in the air. Alphas, betas, warriors. Females draped in silk and confidence, and then Kale arrived. The clearing went silent. He wore black tailored fabric, open at the throat, marking scars visible along his collarbone, proof of battles survived. His presence alone bent the atmosphere. Females straightened, hope flared, fear followed. Kale stood apart from the crowd, arms crossed, gaze distant. Until it hit him, a scent, soft, warm, wild jasmine after rain. His body went rigid. His wolf stirred for the first time in years. Mine, the word growled inside his mind. Impossible. His eyes scanned the crowd sharply, and then he saw her. Near the outer ring of the clearing, head lowered, simple pale dress, no jewels, no confidence, an Omega. His lip curled automatically. Of all possibilities, fate would mock him like this. His destined mate was an Omega. Illyra felt it too, a snap inside her chest, a thread pulling tight. Her breath caught as her eyes lifted, and met blazing amber. The Alpha, her heart nearly stopped. No, the moon goddess wouldn't be this cruel. Kale took one slow step forward, then another. The crowd parted instinctively. Illyra's pulse thundered. Please don't be him, anyone but him. He stopped in front of her, towering, intimidating, furious, his jaw flexed. You, the word was low. Dangerous, Illyra swallowed. Alpha. The mate bond pulsed again, stronger now, undeniable. The clearing began to murmur. Kale's wolf pushed violently against his control. Claim her. His hands clenched into fists. He leaned closer, inhaling her scent fully. And something dark inside him cracked. She smelled like peace, like warmth, like everything he had sworn to despise. His voice dropped to a rough whisper only she could hear. "You cannot be my mate." Alira's eyes shimmered, not with tears, but quiet resilience. "I did not choose this, Alpha." The honesty in her tone struck him unexpectedly. The moon burned higher above them. The bond snapped fully into place, and Cale Draven, the Alpha who hated every woman, felt his control begin to unravel. The ceremony elder stepped forward, eyes wide with recognition. "The bond has been made," she announced. Gasps rippled across the clearing. Cale's gaze never left Alira, his mate, and Omega, the greatest weakness a rival pack could exploit. The greatest temptation he had ever faced. And for the first time in years, Cale Draven did not know what to do. **** Part 2. The bond he refused *** silence swallowed the clearing after the elder's declaration. The bond has been made. Those words echoed like a death sentence in Cale Draven's mind. His mate. In Omega, the crowd's whispers grew louder, sharper, like blades slicing through pride. In Omega, the Alpha's mate. This has to be a mistake. Cale's jaw tightened until it hurt. There was no mistake. The bond pulsed violently in his chest, hot, undeniable, possessive. His wolf was pacing beneath his skin, restless and hungry. Mine, Alira felt it too, the tether tightening, the warmth trying to bloom despite the humiliation in the air. But unlike Cale, she did not look ashamed. She looked a steady that infuriated him more. He stepped back abruptly, breaking the fragile proximity. "This ceremony is concluded," Cale announced coldly. The elder hesitated. "Alpha, tradition demands." "I said it is concluded." Power rolled off him in crushing waves. Wolves lowered their heads instinctively. Alira did not fully. She bowed respectfully, but when she straightened, her eyes met his again. Not defiant, not pleading. Just honest that honesty unsettled him. Cale turned sharply and strode away. The crowd parted like frightened birds. He did not look back. He refused to look back. Alira stood alone in the clearing long after the torches began to dim. Her mate had walked away, rejected her publicly. It should have broken her. Instead, something inside her hardened not bitterness, but quiet resolve. She had survived worse than humiliation. She had survived hunger, exile, the loss of her birth pack. If the Alpha did not want her, she would not beg. A hand touched her shoulder gently. "Bader Rowan, I am sorry," he said softly. She gave him a faint smile. "You have nothing to apologize for." He studied her carefully. "You understand what this means?" "Yes. You are Luna by bond, but not by acceptance." She finished calmly. Rowan's brows lifted slightly, strength. It radiated from her in subtle ways, not the loud dominance of warriors, but something steady. "Grounded, interesting. Come," he said. "You will stay in the Alpha wing." Her steps faltered. "I do not wish to force myself where I am not wanted." Rowan's gaze sharpened. "Whether he wants it or not, the moon goddess has spoken." Alira exhaled slowly, then she followed. Cale stood alone, on the balcony of his chamber, rain soaking his dark shirt. His breathing was uneven. His wolf would not calm. The scent lingered in his lungs, jasmine and rain. Every instinct screamed to go back. To claim, to mark, to protect, he slammed his fist into the stone railing. "I will not be controlled." His wolf growled in response. "You already are." A knock came at his door. "Enter." Rowan stepped inside, drenched. "She is settled in the Luna suite." Cale's head snapped toward him. "Who authorized that?" "The bond did." Cale's eyes flared dangerously. Rowan did not flinch. Denying her publicly was one thing. Disrespecting the moon goddess entirely is another. Cale's silence was thunderous. Rowan continued carefully. "She did not cry. She did not argue. She simply accepted." That made something twist painfully in Cale's chest. "She is an Omega. She is your mate." The words landed heavier this time. Rowan moved toward the door but paused. "Strength is not always loud, Alpha." Then he left. Alira stood in the massive Luna chamber, feeling painfully out of place. Silk curtains, a carved canopy bed, a fireplace tall enough to swallow her whole. She had never owned more than a single wooden chest. This room did not feel like hers, it felt borrowed. She approached the mirror slowly. Her reflection stared back, small frame, soft features, eyes too gentle for a world this brutal. Luna, the word felt wrong on her skin. A sudden rush of heat pulsed through her abdomen. The bond, Cale, was near. Her breath hitched, a knock did not come. The door opened, he stood there, dark, towering, storm in human form. Water still clung to his hair, their eyes locked, the air thickened instantly. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. The click echoed. Illyra's pulse quickened, not from fear alone, but from something far more dangerous. Desire. Cale approached slowly, like a predator uncertain whether to attack or retreat. "You will not mistake this," he said lowly. "I did not choose you," she swallowed but held his gaze. "Nor did I choose you." That startled him. "You speak boldly for an Omega. I speak honestly." The bond pulsed again, stronger, his control frayed. He reached out suddenly, gripping her chin not painfully, but firmly, tilting her face upward. Her skin was warm. Her scent wrapped around him like a drug. "You should fear me," he murmured. Illyra's lips parted slightly. "I do," she whispered. His eyes darkened. "But I do not resent you." That was worse, much worse. Resentment he could handle. Hatred he understood. But this quiet acceptance, this steady warmth, it was dismantling him piece by piece. His thumb brushed her lower lip unintentionally. The contact sent a spark through both of them. Her breath shuddered. His wolf surged violently. "Mark her." Cale released her abruptly and stepped back as if burned. "This bond will remain unclaimed until I decide otherwise." Illyra lowered her gaze respectfully. "As you wish, Alpha." The title felt wrong now, too distant, too cold. He turned to leave, but before he reached the door, her soft voice stopped him. "Cale, no one said his name like that. Not with gentleness, not without fear." He froze. Slowly he looked back. Her eyes were luminous in the firelight. "I will not beg for your acceptance," she said quietly, "but I will not reject the bond either. When you are ready to face it, I will still be here." The certainty in her tone shook him more than any challenge. He left without another word, but that night Cale did not sleep. And neither did she. The bond burned between them like a promise waiting to be broken or fulfilled. The Omega, who would not break the first morning after the blood moon, arrived with a cold, silvery fog that clung to the nightfall territory like a warning. Inside the Alpha wing, servants moved differently. Whispers followed Illyra wherever she walked. "She's still here. He hasn't rejected her officially. An Omega Lunan, this is a disgrace." Illyra heard every word and continued walking. Her back remained straight, her steps measured, her pale dress simple compared to the jewel-toned gowns of higher, ranking females. If she was to be Luna by bond, she would behave with dignity, whether accepted or not. In the training grounds, warriors paused mid-spar as she passed. Some lowered their heads respectfully out of obligation. Others didn't bother. From the balcony above, Cale watched. He told himself he was observing pack morale. He was lying to himself. She moved without arrogance, without fear, even without visible hurt. That unsettled him more than open rebellion would have. An Omega should shrink under pressure. She did not. His wolf stirred. "She stands like a Luna." Cale silenced the thought. Later that day, a commotion erupted near the southern gates. Illyra had been helping in the infirmary, an old habit from her former pack. When the scent of blood hit the air, warriors rushed in carrying a wounded scout. Rogues, one growled. 3 of them near the border. The scout's side was torn open, bleeding heavily. The healer froze. "We need Alpha's permission for advanced treatment." The scout's breathing grew shallow. Illyra stepped forward instinctively. "He won't survive if we wait." A warrior blocked her path. "This is not your place, Omega." She met his eyes calmly. "It is exactly my place." Without waiting for approval, she dropped to her knees beside the injured wolf. Her hands glowed faintly as she pressed them to the wound. Gasps rippled through the room, healing power. Rare, extremely rare. Warm golden light seeped from her palms, knitting flesh slowly, carefully. Sweat beaded along her brow as she focused. The room fell silent except for the fading rasp of the scout's breathing, steadying. Up on the balcony overlooking the courtyard, Cale had smelled the blood. He arrived just in time to witness the impossible. His mate, an Omega, channeling Luna-level healing energy. His chest tightened. That kind of power was ancient, reserved for high-born bloodlines. Where had she learned it? Why had she never displayed it before? When she finally withdrew her hands, the wound had closed to a thin scar. The scout coughed alive. The warriors stared at her differently now. Not with ridicule, with shock. Alira swayed on her feet. Cale moved before he thought. In one swift motion, he was beside her, catching her as her knees buckled. Her body felt fragile in his arms, too fragile. He hated how protective it made him feel. "You overextended yourself," he said lowly. She blinked up at him, dazed. He would have died. "That was not your burden." Her lips curved faintly. "It is now." Their faces were inches apart. The bond flared intensely. The warriors quickly looked away, sensing the shift in air. Cale lifted her without effort. "I will take her." No one dared argue. Inside his chamber, he laid her carefully on the bed. The same bed he had avoided since the ceremony. She stirred weakly. "You did not need to carry me. I did." The admission slipped out before he could stop it. Her eyes searched his face. "You're angry?" "Yes, at me, at fate." A long silence stretched between them. "You hid your power," he said finally. Alira looked toward the ceiling. "In my former pack, power in an Omega meant exploitation. Control, I learned to be small." His jaw tightened. The idea of anyone exploiting her ignited something savage inside him. He wanted names. "You are not small," he said quietly. She studied him carefully. "Then why do you look at me like I am?" The question pierced straight through his defenses. He stepped back slightly. "Because accepting you means accepting weakness." Her expression softened, not offended, not angry. "You mistake gentleness for weakness, Alpha." Again, that steady tone, no trembling, no accusation. "Just truth," he exhaled sharply. "My enemies will see you as a vulnerability." "Then let them." That made him frown. "I have survived rogues, famine, exile. Do you truly believe I cannot survive gossip?" Her resilience felt like a mirror reflecting his own stubbornness back at him. Infuriating, magnetic. His wolf pressed closer to the surface. "She is strong. Claim her. Protect her." He approached the bed slowly, sitting on its edge. "Alira." His voice was different now, less commanding. More uncertain. "Yes. If I accept this bond." Her breath stilled. "You will face danger." She did not hesitate. "I already have." The space between them grew electric. His hand lifted almost unconsciously, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. Her pulse jumped beneath his fingertips. The scent of jasmine thickened. Cale's control thinned dangerously. He leaned closer, too close. Her breath warmed his skin. The bond roared. Just as his lips hovered near hers, a howl split through the territory. Long, sharp, a challenge. Cale's head snapped toward the window. Another howl answered, not from within. From beyond the borders, rogues, and not just three, an organized group. His eyes darkened instantly. They would not dare, he muttered, but they had. And if rival alphas discovered his mate was an Omega, Alira saw the realization hit him. "They are testing you," she said softly. "No," he corrected, rising to full height. "They are testing us." He looked back at her. Something had shifted, not full acceptance, not yet, but something closer. "Stay inside the fortress," he ordered. She held his gaze. "Come back alive, Cale." The way she said his name again, it did something to him. He turned sharply and strode out to gather his warriors. As the battle horns began to sound across Nightfall territory, Alira pressed her hand over her chest. The bond pulsed fiercely. For the first time she was afraid, not for herself, but for the Alpha who claimed to hate her and was already beginning to fall. When the Alpha bled, the war horns echoed across Nightfall territory like thunder rolling through bone. Torches ignited along the fortress walls. Warriors shifted mid-run, fur and fangs tearing through the night as massive wolves burst into the forest. At their head ran Cale Draven, black as shadow, eyes burning molten gold, power radiating from him like a living storm. Rogues dared challenge his borders. They would learn what that meant. From the highest tower window, Alira watched the forest swallow him whole. The bond vibrated painfully inside her chest. Every step he took, every surge of adrenaline, every flash of fury. She felt it, mate. Bonds were cruel that way. She pressed her palm to the glass. Come back, she whispered. Below, whispers stirred again among the she-wolves gathered in the hall. If the rogues kill him, she'll lose the bond. And Omega Luna was bad luck from the start. Illyra closed her eyes briefly. No, this was not her shame to carry. She turned from the window and headed toward the courtyard. If Nightfall was under attack, she would not hide behind stone walls. The forest erupted into chaos. Rogues had breached deeper than expected. Not a scattered group. An organized force, and at their center, a towering gray wolf with scarred flanks and cold blue eyes. An alpha. Cale recognized him instantly. Verk, exiled years ago for attempting a coup in a neighboring pack. You grow soft, Draven. Verk's voice taunted across the battlefield as he shifted into human form, blood streaking his chest. I hear you've taken an Omega as mate. Rage flashed through Cale. Information had spread fast, too fast. Speak her name again. Cale growled, shifting partially, claws elongating, fangs descending, and I will remove your tongue. Verk laughed. An Omega Luna, the Nightfall pack has become a joke. The insult landed like fire, but not because it wounded his pride. Because it touched her, Cale lunged. The impact shook the ground. Claws slashed, teeth snapped, wolves howled. The fight was brutal, primal dominance clashing in snarls and blood. Cale fought like a creature unchained. Not for pride, not for reputation, for her. For the first time in his life, he had something to lose. And that terrified him. Verk managed a deep slash across Cale's ribs. Blood poured down dark fur. The pain sharpened his senses. Verk smirked. You hesitate. That's what mates do to alphas. Cale froze for half a heartbeat. Hesitation. He had hesitated earlier when Verk shifted near a group of Nightfall warriors, calculating their safety. He had hesitated, and it nearly cost him. The realization struck harder than the wound. He was changing. Because of her, with a feral roar, Cale shifted fully into his monstrous wolf form, larger than Verk, darker, eyes blazing like twin suns. He did not hesitate this time. He attacked. The battle ended with Verk pinned to the forest floor, Cale's jaws at his throat. Say it, Cale growled, claws digging into flesh. Verk spat blood. You were ruled by an Omega. Cale's eyes flickered. Then something inside him snapped into place. No, he said coldly, I am strengthened by my mate, and with that he ended it. Back at the fortress, Illyra felt it. The shift, the victory, but also pain, sharp, sudden. She gasped and gripped the courtyard pillar. His injury pulsed through the bond. Without thinking, she ran toward the gates just as the warriors returned. Cale shifted back to human form near the entrance. Blood soaked his side. He swayed slightly. The crowd erupted in cheers at their alpha's triumph. Illyra saw only the wound. She pushed through the warriors before anyone could stop her. Gasps followed. She dropped to her knees in front of him, in front of everyone. Her hands pressed against his bleeding ribs. Golden light exploded outward. The courtyard fell silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Cale looked down at her, stunned. She did not hesitate, did not ask permission, did not wait. She healed him publicly, claiming her place without a single spoken word. The wound closed slowly under her touch. The connection between them flared so brightly that several wolves had to look away. Cale's breathing steadied. Her hands trembled. When she finished, exhaustion crashed over her like a wave. Before she could collapse, Cale caught her, not as alpha, not as obligation, but as mate. He pulled her against his chest, one arm wrapped firmly around her waist. A low, possessive growl vibrated from him, not threatening, claiming. The entire pack watched. Cale lifted his gaze slowly, scanning every face in the courtyard. Let it be known, he said, voice carrying like thunder, that Illyra Vale is my mate. Murmurs rippled. His grip tightened slightly. And any wolf who speaks of her as weakness will answer to me. Silence. Absolute, the shift was complete. Not full surrender, not yet, but protection. Acceptance was beginning. Illyra looked up at him, breath unsteady. You nearly died, she whispered. His amber eyes softened just for her. I did not, her brow furrowed. You hesitated. He exhaled slowly. Yes, she swallowed, because of me. He hesitated again. Then, quietly, yes. The honesty felt heavier than any declaration. She placed her palm against his chest. You will never lose strength by caring. His wolf purred under his skin at her touch. The crowd slowly began to disperse, leaving them standing together under the torchlight. Kale studied her face carefully. You stood before everyone. So did you. A beat passed, then he lowered his forehead to hers, a gesture intimate and ancient. The pack gasped softly. The bond pulsed like wildfire. I am not ready to mark you, he admitted lowly. But I will not deny you again. Her heart fluttered painfully. That is enough for now. But fate was not finished testing them. High above the fortress walls, hidden in the darkness of the trees, a pair of unfamiliar golden eyes watched. Not rogue, not nightfall, royal and calculating. The Lycan King had heard whispers of an Omega Luna with rare healing power, and he had come to see for himself.